but it marked the week 2 of the breakdown.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
14
Uh,
days.
we are now discussing chapters 81 through 90 here, which Lawrence just read today. Lawrence, how are you doing?
All good, yeah. Again, decided to get into this next wave of breakdowns.
All right. So where we last left off, Ichigo had successfully made his way into Soul Society with his friends. They tried to enter basically the main portion of Soul Society outright, but were stopped by Jidambo. And even when they beat Jidambo and were let in, Jin Ichimaru gave them a warm welcome, and they had to find an alternative route into the city. And they seem to have found so with a friend of Yuriichi's, the Shiba family, Kakaku Shiba, and her younger brother Ganju.
Mm-hmm.
So we start off this set of chapters with some training, but I feel like that's a little bit of a backseat next to getting to meet the captains.
Yeah.
You want to speak to the training real quick, or just dive into the captains?
I mean, the only thing I really got to say about the training is like, yeah, they were trying to create the barrier, and Ganju helped Ichigo out by giving a tip, and then yeah, that's pretty much all that happened.
Exciting stuff.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the captains. Do you want to give a quick rundown of your thoughts on the captains meeting?
Yeah, it was yeah, I mean, in terms of the content, I had further thoughts in terms of like the Ichimaru stuff, but then in terms of just like meeting them, they all seem, menacing in their own right. Definitely, and I definitely think they're going to like have their, have the battles, of course, here, because they're like the leaders, of course, and I assume it's going to be a lot of Ichigo and the crew breaking through the fodder. So I'm sure they'll have to fight some of these people eventually, like especially like the 11th, the captain for like the 11th squad. He seemed like he was really getting the build up based off of like the person Ichigo was fighting, and him kind of like describing that he's going to want to fight the strongest one of them. And also the chapter really just focused on him kind of searching for the crew. He seemed like the one of the main people that they were following in terms of like the action going on. So yeah, I definitely think he's going to fight probably Ichigo, if not definitely for sure one of them.
Let me run through the captains based on this picture. So
Yeah.
on the far left here, the man with the funny face, we have Meritsuchi. Sorry, I mispronounced that. Sorry, Mayuri Kuretsuchi.
Yeah,
what did you think of Kuretsuchi?
If I don't remember correctly, I don't really think he had like a huge part to play in the chapter, did he? In the 10.
Well, what do you at least think of his design?
I mean, he looks. I mean, he has like a kind of like a weird mask on. It looks like he looks like a Mexican wrestler, kind of like with the vibes with the mask. I guess
that's just his face.
Oh, that's his face. Oh,
yeah.
Well, that's definitely a face. Yeah. But yeah. I mean, he's all right, I guess.
And then to the right of him, the youngest and smallest member here, Itsugaya.
Definitely stands out. I honestly didn't even realize that person was there until you said youngest, and I was like, looked down. I was like, oh,
that's the genius. That's Matsumoto's
captain. Oh, that's the genius. Okay.
Yeah, and by genius they mean it in the sense like he's a prodigy.
Right.
Next to him, we have Shunsui. He's the man in the with the beard and the long hair and the flower kimono.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts? Yeah.
Again, like I feel like we met them, but like most of these people, I didn't really like. It was too short of an introduction for me to really like have an opinion on them so far. Like he looks interesting. I mean, the fact that he has a flower kimono, definitely adds like some distinct difference from the rest of the people. Yeah. So I would gather from that he kind of likes to stand out. He's kind of a flashy person, I would say.
Any new thoughts on Byakuya?
No, pretty much the same as I said earlier. He seems like a by the book guy that is going to stick to the code of the Soul Reapers and and Soul Society. So, yeah.
Next to him, we have Retsu Unohana. Any thoughts on Unohana, the woman with the hair braided in front of her?
another one that I feel like I haven't gotten enough info on to really submit my opinion as
Okay.
to where I stand. But
I
interesting.
mean, talking about design as well, if you have any thoughts on it, or
Uh,
for all the captains, if
yeah.
there's anything notable.
No, I mean, I don't really, I don't
Okay.
think there's anything. I mean, like, it's not bad. They're like a bad design or anything. It's just,
Yeah.
they, like, I think like they did a good, the author did a good job of, distinguishing each person based on their design in terms of
Mm-hmm.
like, that they look different from each other and that they have like like, I'm sure like it, adds some sort of character like it shows like some part of their personality or whatever that we're going to like eventually get revealed to us. So I think they definitely are like unique enough. They stand apart enough, which I definitely like.
Next to her is Soy Fawn.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
Next to her.
next,
Okay. What did you think of Captain Commander Yamamoto?
is that the farthest down the line,
Yeah.
the center,
Mm,
dead center? Um, Yeah, I mean, he definitely, it seems like another one that's very like about the rules. Obviously, if you're like the lead, like head commander, you kind of have to be like the stickler for the rules, the person
mm,
that kind of leads the train. Like his questioning of Ichimaru in particular, he seemed pretty like resolute about like getting down to that until like the intruder came in, and then he made the call like we got to deal with this first. But then like don't think you got away
yeah.
with this one kid. I'm coming for you.
Any new thoughts on Aizen?
Aizen, there was like an interesting kind of like confrontation he had with Ichimaru towards like I forgot what chapter it was, but like after the meeting kind
Mm-hmm.
of broke down due to the intruder, he was like I forgot like the exact words he used, but it was like something along the lines of like you don't bullshit me kind of thing. Like it was like this
Mm-hmm.
seemed like that was like what he was saying.
What are your thoughts on Komamura, the Man in the Mask?
Mysterious. I mean, he has a mask, so yeah, I mean, I'm definitely wondering if that has something to do with like his powers, like with the mask, or if it's like a purely just like and purely something's wrong with his face or something along those lines. But yeah, definitely curious.
What are your thoughts on Tosin, the blind member?
Definitely the coolest looking one in the group for me. Like like the definitely Scott, yeah, great vibes coming off. I feel like I've seen like just pictures of like this character like elsewhere like or something just like from like googling Bleach or just like something. I feel like I was like it seems like a familiar character to me for some reason.
Okay. And then any new thoughts on Zaraki?
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely of the captains, besides Ichimaru and kind of somewhat Aizen has gotten the most focus in terms of like the what's been shown in the manga so far. I mean,
Mm,
based on Ichigo's discussion with like Ikaku, he seems like he's like really
mm,
about like fighting the power and like being the most powerful and the strongest in the lot, and they mentioned that his division is probably the most offensive, like the most offensively equipped, the strongest division of the groups here. So they were kind of
mm,
shocked that Ichigo was able to like make any headway against like his third in command, kind of within that division
yeah.
guy. So yeah, definitely seems like a menacing figure, and whenever he gets around to fighting, likely Ichigo, it's going to be an intense battle for sure.
Any new thoughts on Jin? Lastly.
Yeah, you know what? Because I think I kind of like gave I was hard. I feel like I was hard on him in the last 10, but I kind of also gave myself a little bit of an out there because I said like maybe they're setting up as some kind of thing he's um where he's uh where he's like fighting them like hard, but he's like at the same time I did like recognize he didn't kill them, one, and two, like
Mm,
he like cut off the giant's arm, but he didn't kill the giant either. So maybe there's some in the way that they were questioning him, maybe there's some sort of possibility that he's like trying to like set up some sort of like rebellion or like do something involving them, like maybe he's somewhat involved in this whole these whole shenanigans in a positive way, but it also could be the same setup as well as like the way Aizen confronted him was also in a way where he like might even have even more dastardly like ideas of like what he's planning here. Like the reason he let Ichigo go is because there's like some other like dark thing that he has up his sleeve. So definitely shrouded in mystery, that guy.
Man, that ends it out.
Yep.
So what are your thoughts on the Ichigo versus Ikaku fight?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was kind of, this fight was kind of like a setup to show like Ichigo's like really has a shot at going toe to toe with these captains. You know, they showed him almost kind of easily taking out like the what's supposed to be like, as I said, like the third in the command of like the toughest division supposedly of the like Soul Reapers. So based on that fact, like, you know, he's easily could probably take some of these captains. So I definitely think that's like what the purpose of the fight was. It was interesting to see like how after the fight Ikaku is like, well, why didn't you kill me? Like because he seems like a guy that's really all about his honor, and he felt like, you know, if you're gonna beat me, you need to kill me. But it was also interesting how he was so like just willing to give up the information in terms of about Rukia. But it also, you could like read that as, which I think was like case, he's like so confident that Ichigo has no shot against like all these heavyweights like there, because he was like, your team's only has like 7 or 8 people, and you're going up against all like 12 of these division commanders and the also and like all the other Soul Reapers like that can just be used as like fodder to even like further just tire you out and make and like, you know, put you in a bad spot. So yeah, definitely a good kind of like setup fight to get understanding of what Ichigo is really gonna and his crew is gonna encounter with this rescue mission.
Yeah, and thoughts on Ganji versus Yumachika?
Ganji versus yeah, I mean it was cool I guess to see how, you know, Ganji's gonna fight these kind of battles, because he's obviously nowhere near as powerful as a lot of these Soul Reaper characters. Like it was the guy he was fighting kept commenting on the reason that you're running is because you know that your soul energy is like nowhere near ours, and he's really going to have to kind of play like fast and loose with his abilities to even have a like remote shot of like taking out one of these captains, because he was really struggling with that. I forgot what level of the rung he was in the 11th division
Yumachika?
Yeah,
he's I think 5th.
Yeah, so we were struggling to take like the 5th member out of, even though that's probably as they were saying, the toughest of the group.
Yumachika also specifically comments in the fight that he requested to be 5th because he wanted to be 3rd, but because Ikaku already had it, he picked 5th because that was the number he liked, because it was the 2nd most beautiful.
Oh, okay. So
really, technically, he should be like 4th is the idea.
Yeah, so he should technically be 4th. So yeah, I think it's definitely setting up for like he's like, but he still like showed enough in the battle Ganju to where you know, has some tricks up his sleeve, so he won't be like taken out easily, and he does seem to have like a resolve, like a will to carry on that will, you know, drag him to the finish line as well. So you know, he's definitely gonna like have to fly by the seat of his pants here to make it out, but he has a shot, I think.
Yeah. Do you have any expectations for the rest for tomorrow?
For tomorrow, I assume either we're gonna. Well, I feel like we're definitely gonna get the start of like an Ichigo and the 11th commander. What's that guy's name again? The captain.
Kenpachi.
I feel like that's gonna be a fight. We also forgot to mention like the Uryu Orihime element of this all. They had like they encountered I forgot which division the guy that they encountered was from.
Was that? Sorry, I didn't realize that was today.
Yeah.
That was tomorrow.
It was just like the first encounter was today.
Was that the end of the chapter?
I believe that was. Let me. I have it open here.
Oh, yeah, they meet Jirobo.
Jirobo. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
fighting. They're fighting Jirobo. Let me see. I think I have it here.
yeah,
The
Kamakeki.
seventh division, fourth seat.
Yeah.
Jirobo. So yeah, they had their encounter there. In terms of like just a brief update of like other people, like Chad landed, but he was by himself, and he seems like
Mhm.
he's trying to go like covert right now and not like encounter any the big names. Try to like link up with the rest of the people before he makes his entrance into the fight, and then Yoichi landed by himself, and he's at first was like, oh man, this is weird, and but then like immediately after that he was like, oh, this might not be the worst thing in the world, like, you know, because I guess he has a lot of belief in his powers and abilities, so he
Mhm.
seemed pretty confident.
All right. Well, I guess that wraps things up for today.
Don't two other things I wanted to
Okay.
mention real quick. um Also during that Ikaku fight, he Ichigo mentioned that Kasuke was his master that trained him,
Oh,
and
yes.
Ikaku seemed to like react in a way that like was a big deal. Like he was like, okay,
Hmm.
then I'm going to use my full power because you deserve that much. So definitely want to see like what Kasuke's connection to the Soul Reaper society and the Soul Society is like, because it was interesting that like Rukia like was like his like number one customer and had like a lot of trust in him, but
Yeah.
there seemed that but he's also so willing to help Ichigo, and wasn't like telling him like, don't mention my name, don't throw it out there, like, so there
Hmm.
so it's kind of weird that, you know, on one hand he's like a sanctioned like soul society person that can like help people out in the real world, but at the same time he has enough clout where Ichigo can just like be free to like throw his name out there as like a guy that he's connected to when he's like entering as this like like rebel like assailant kind of, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I thought that was I wonder like what dirt he has on the soul society or what's going on there. And the only other thing I wanted to mention was like the whole Kananji and like Karen and the kids were like working as soul reapers in the
Well,
in
no,
the
they're
real
not
world.
Soul Reapers.
Well, they weren't working. Well, they're capturing hollows. They're not. I mean, they're working in the capacity of a soul reaper. And the soul reaper that they
Mm,
send the seam there was like, why? I guess I don't have any hollows to kill because they're like killing all these hollows. It's really weird.
yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, that's cool. Yeah, I don't know if that's like important or not. If that was just like a fun aside, I don't know.
It's this fun little. It does that's an interstitial thing in the volume.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. All right.
All right. You've got another big day ahead of you now that we're on the Soul Society arc.
Well,
Yeah.
exciting. It's exciting times. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where it goes.
All right. Well, have a good one, everyone. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Yep.
All right.
Mm-hmm.